Well, we're America, and it'd be fair to say we do most things bigger in this country, and that's certainly true when it comes to elections and campaign spending. My man Luke Russert is here to talk about this. You've been crunching some numbers.
Indeed.
This stat's unbelievable.
It's wild. Chuck, remarkably, you could pay for 80 British general election campaigns with what's being spent on this year's midterms alone. And there's real concern about the role money is playing in our politics, with some even going as far to argue our democracy is being bought and sold.
16 years ago, the 1998 midterms cost $1.6 billion. This year's price tag, as high as $4 billion. Outside groups spent $15 million on that 98 campaign. In 2012, outside group spending was 67 times higher, over $1 billion. And this year, it'll be just as high. And that doesn't count so-called dark money, whose sources and donors never have to be disclosed or won't be disclosed until well after the election. In the Senate battleground states, outside groups are spending more on ads than campaigns and political parties combined. Funding the financial arms race, a group of modern-day oligarchs.
On Father's Day, I was with my family, and Mitch McConnell was with his too, the Koch brothers.
The Koch brothers.
The Koch brothers.
The Koch brothers.
Senate Republicans, Madam President, are addicted to Coke.
On the right, Charles and David Koch, the brothers who run Koch Industries, America's second largest private company, net worth $41.9 billion each. Americans for Prosperity, just one of several Koch-backed groups, has pledged to spend at least $125 million this year, and they have offices in more than 30 states. On the left, newcomer Tom Steyer, net worth $1.6 billion. He's already donated at least $58 million in support of candidates with strong records on climate change.
A California billionaire extreme environmentalist.
California billionaire.
California billionaire.
Last month, Steyer's PAC began hauling a wooden ark on wheels across Florida, where he's focusing his efforts on retiring Governor Rick Scott. But the Koch brothers, through a number of outside groups with mundane, if not agreeable-sounding names like Americans for Prosperity, Freedom Partners, Concerned Veterans for America, and Generational Opportunity, are outspending Steyer by nearly 5-to-1 on ads in the Senate battleground states. In the center, former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg, net worth $34 billion. He pledged to spend $50 million to support gun control legislation and became a convenient punching bag for red state Democrats.
Mayor Bloomberg of New York City ran ads in Arkansas criticizing me for standing up for your Second Amendment rights.
Now Bloomberg says he'll spend $25 million more backing centrists. Add other big spenders Sheldon Adelson and Joe Ricketts on the right, George Soros on the left, even Mark Zuckerberg, and we could see an election that costs about $44 a vote. The financial arms race has become so crazy that one campaign reform advocate decided to fight fire with fire. He formed the anti-super PAC Super PAC.
We launched the Mayday PAC, Mayday as in the distress signal, to rally people to the idea of changing the way elections were funded. And in this cycle, we've had more than 50,000 people contribute.
The question is, Chuck, do voters even care? In 2012, billions spent against President Obama and Democrats didn't really move the needle that much.
Well, it's mutual assured destruction, it seems, Dan Balls. Let me show you this chart in this morning's Des Moines Register. They listed all the different outside groups that have spent on behalf of Bruce Braley. I got to scroll it. It's that much here. And then here's all the Joni Ernst groups. I got to scroll it. I mean, there's a dozen groups, it seems, on each side. But did you find any voters that care? They hate the ads, but do they care about this outside money? Do they vote on it?
No, they don't vote on that. They hate the ads. They hate the amount of money that's being spent, but it's not a voting issue. And the interesting thing, Chuck, is I'm sure you've had the same experience. You talk to the people who are helping to produce these ads, and they're as sick of them as many of the people who are watching them. And you say, well, why are you doing it? For the exact reason you said. We can't afford not to because the other side's doing it.
It's totally so. It feels like the Cold War. I mean, it is a cold political war, and we're going down a road where it's going to destroy the two-party system if they're not careful.
Remember, one of the most interesting statistics that came out of this, Nick Compasori had a story showing that most of the money, most of the advertising spending is from groups that don't really disclose their donors. So the original free speech argument was, let's lift the caps, but let's have contemporaneous disclosure. You'll know where the money is coming from. That's not the case at all.
Look, I think, Nia, very quickly, but I think it's going to drive good candidates from running.
Yeah.
How do you run in this environment?
Yeah, because the threshold for getting in there is so high now. I mean, you had Democrats sort of complain about it, but Democrats are pretty good at raising this money and coordinating a lot of these groups on the ground in these different states.
It's unbelievable. Luke, nice work, scary work.